Yeah, and I think another aspect in the big picture is that when you compete, the idea is not to be better than everybody else, more so better than your last iteration of yourself, right? So if I'm the world champion and I've beaten everybody, the goal should be how much better can I get?
Yeah.
Right? So like if I have holes in my game that I haven't filled yet, it's like let me start adding these on. I think that's why someone like George St. Pierre has remained on top for so long.
Yeah.
He was able to fight because he kept reinventing himself a little bit.
Yeah.
John Jones kind of similar. He keeps adding parts to his game because if you stay the same forever, you're gonna get beat. Because people, as a champion, you're on the top of the hill, and everybody gets to see. Oh, okay, he fights like this, and when he was put in this situation, we can counter him here, and they're gonna start developing that game plan. So if you're stagnant, they'll ultimately overcome you just by time.
I call it the white belt mentality, the white belt mindset. You know, and when you walk in the gym, when you first start training, everyone's gonna relate to this. You go like this: I don't know anything. Please teach me. Everyone, like, it could be another white belt with one stripe on his belt, and he's showing you something. You go, oh, okay, thank you. You know, and something happens, and the opposite should happen. Like, the more you train, the more humble you should become.
Yes.
I think it should be a humbling experience to be aware of how little you know. So, as time goes by, you should know less and less. There was a minute there that as a blue belt, I thought I got it all. I got it. I got like 3 half guard sweeps, about 5 spider guard sweeps. I thought I knew, like, I was so confident about it. But like today, I feel like less confident because, like, man, there's so much that I don't know. Because what you should be doing is realizing how little you know, right? Is being like amazed at how little you know. But like some people, somewhere along the way, a lot of people, in fact, they lose that white belt mentality, and the result of that is that exactly what you're describing. They stop progressing, they stop learning. And as a champion, if you want, I always admire people like GSP because it's just one thing to be a champion. It's something very different to remain the champion for a long time because where do you go from there? You've already, like, it's almost like you're the second in the race. If you're behind someone, you can actually see the person right in front of you and you're chasing that person down. But once you're leading, what are you really looking forward to, especially when you've finished that line many times already? You've been and how do you remain the champion for that long? Like, it's an effort of humility and discipline and heart and meaning that is much, much deeper than I think people realize than just being, oh, he's just winning. Like, it's easier to get the belt, in my opinion, than it is to keep it over the years.
For sure. And that, statistically, we can see that.
Because they don't hold on to the belt very long. And I think something happens to their heart once they're there. Like, it's the motivation is not there anymore. Something happens. And it goes back to what you're saying, but a guy like GS or anyone who remains a champion for a long time has to reinvent themselves. And that means they're always open to learning.
Yeah.
And not on a superficial way. On a very deep way, because like superficially, everyone's like, "Oh yeah, thank you for showing me that." People can be humble superficially, but deep down, they're not really like, "Yeah, I got this. I don't need that stuff," Versus being, "Wow, how little I know."
Yeah, and it definitely takes that to be able to stay on top. And again, you always want to keep people on their heels. So every time you add a new skill set, it's like you just stretch the gap out. Because if you just stay there, people are climbing. So every time you learn a new skill. Keep moving up and keep pulling away from the crowd. But like you said, it takes a lot of motivation because most people, when you're a contender and your goal is to be a champion, and you probably don't think that far ahead of that. Most people wouldn't. I just want to be a champion. So you get the strap. Now you're like, oh, now what?
Yeah.
And then you kind of fade a little bit. I know, like when I was younger, I had a goal. I was like 17. I wanted to bench 300 pounds. And I was like 180, right? And bench. And it took me like 5-6 months, and I hit it. Oh, I hit like 305. And you know what happened? I stopped lifting. Because I didn't say anything else after that. Because I was like, in my mind, that was such a far-fetched goal. Like, a kid benching 300 pounds. Once I benched, I'm like, oh, okay.
And it's funny you say that. That's why people tell me they dream about being a jiu-jitsu world champion or UFC champion or whatever. And I'm like, don't be so limited. Yeah. And they look at me, isn't that the pinnacle? It's like, no. The pinnacle is yourself. How much Dave could have. You don't know where your limit is.
Exactly.
And that's the real goal, is not the medal. Because thank you for bringing that in now. I never thought of it because I never cared about bench pressing.
Yeah.
but like it does. It brings it to in a very simple way to describe something that's very meaningful about human nature. Is like how limited our ambition is sometimes.
Yeah.
You could have lifted 400 pounds, maybe more, had you had the ambition to do that.
Correct.
But once you set that bar, like, it's not a low ceiling, not to say, but you set a limit to that ceiling, right? And then you're like, oh, and you stop lifting. And I think that happens to a lot of fighters. Like
Oh yeah.
it's because they're thinking, and I try to teach people, and I try to behave like this, and I try to teach them to set, like, so when I say the sky's the limit, as in like there is no limit,
Correct.
it's infinite. Like don't aim, the competition should be against yourself and your own limitations versus beating a number or winning the belt.
Yeah, because exactly. If you're just trying to be better than yourself, you're never done. There's always room to work, So that's, I think, the safest way of doing it. Again, for some people, it's easier to have a tangible goal, though, right? That's why I think becoming a champion is physical. You know exactly what it requires to be. But like you said, to say make the best version of yourself, that's not really known, right? Like, because you said the guy benched 305. Maybe I could have done 325, 350, 360. But I didn't know that. Again, low limit. And like the things you say to yourself are so important. Like they trump just about everything else.
Yeah.